Spiritual warfare begins in the unseen arena of the mind, where thoughts compete for dominance and emotions attempt to dictate direction. Every day, individuals face internal conflicts that shape external outcomes. Doubt whispers limitations, fear magnifies obstacles, and discouragement tries to erode confidence. Yet warfare prayer teaches that these mental confrontations are not random. They require intentional response. Instead of reacting impulsively to pressure, one must pause, realign, and confront negative patterns with truth. This process is not dramatic or exaggerated. It is disciplined and deliberate. The power of spiritual engagement lies in awareness. When a person recognizes that certain struggles originate in thought patterns, they gain the ability to interrupt them. Prayer becomes the instrument that resets perspective. It is not merely reciting words, but asserting clarity over confusion and courage over hesitation. By consistently challenging destructive thinking, individuals strengthen resilience. Over time, this intentional focus builds emotional stability and reinforces peace. The battle may persist, but the approach changes. Rather than feeling overwhelmed, one becomes equipped. Warfare prayer transforms the mind into a place of strategy rather than surrender. It replaces reaction with response and anxiety with assurance. This steady practice creates a foundation where peace is not dependent on circumstances but anchored in conviction. Even when external situations remain unresolved, internal stability grows stronger. That inner strength influences decisions, relationships, and productivity. In this way, spiritual warfare is less about dramatic confrontation and more about daily discipline. It is the quiet yet firm commitment to guard thoughts, regulate emotions, and remain aligned with truth. Through this consistent engagement, individuals learn that peace is not accidental, it is cultivated. Victory, therefore, begins not on the outside, but within the mind that chooses clarity over chaos and faith over fear. Peace in the midst of spiritual battles is not the denial of conflict, but the mastery of response. Many people assume peace will arrive once problems disappear, yet true stability is developed while challenges are still present. In seasons of pressure, uncertainty attempts to control emotions and dictate reactions. However, warfare prayer trains the heart to remain steady when circumstances feel unstable. It begins by acknowledging the tension without surrendering to it. Instead of allowing fear to define the narrative, individuals intentionally speak reassurance to themselves and reaffirm their values. This practice is neither exaggerated nor mystical. It is a focused discipline of emotional and spiritual regulation. When prayer becomes consistent, it reshapes perception. Obstacles are no longer viewed as permanent defeats, but as temporary assignments requiring patience and strategy. Peace grows stronger each time a person chooses clarity over panic. It becomes a practiced posture rather than a fragile feeling. Through reflection and intentional declarations, anxiety loses its intensity. The mind becomes anchored, capable of thoughtful decisions even under strain. This anchoring effect influences behavior, communication, and leadership. Others notice the calm presence and draw confidence from it. Spiritual peace, therefore, is not passive. It is active stability. It requires guarding words, moderating reactions, and maintaining gratitude despite ongoing challenges. Over time, this disciplined focus produces resilience that does not collapse under pressure. Even when outcomes are uncertain, the internal atmosphere remains composed. Warfare prayer sustains this balance by reminding individuals of past victories and reinforcing trust in present strength. The battle may continue, but panic does not dominate. Instead, peace becomes the governing force. It shapes tone, direction, and endurance. In this way, peace in spiritual conflict is a cultivated state of confidence that stands firm amid turbulence, demonstrating that calm authority can coexist with intense opposition. Authority in prayer is a defining principle in spiritual warfare because it shifts a person from passive endurance to intentional engagement. Many approach prayer as a last resort, hoping circumstances will change without recognizing the influence of their own declarations. Yet authority begins with understanding alignment. When thoughts, words, and actions reflect truth and integrity, confidence increases. This confidence is not arrogance, it is clarity about one's position and responsibility. In moments of spiritual pressure, hesitation can magnify fear, but authority steadies the voice. It allows individuals to confront negative patterns directly and speak with conviction. The tone of prayer changes when a person believes their words carry weight. Rather than pleading from a place of uncertainty, they proclaim from a foundation of assurance. This transformation does not require dramatic expression. It requires focus, discipline, and consistency. Authority grows stronger each time someone refuses to agree with doubt and instead reinforces truth. Over time, this practice reshapes internal dialogue. Self-criticism is replaced with constructive reflection, and despair gives way to determination. Spiritual authority also demands responsibility. Words must be chosen carefully because they influence mindset and direction. Careless speech can weaken confidence, while intentional declarations build resilience. Warfare prayer therefore becomes strategic communication, aligning the heart with purpose and reinforcing stability. It is not about controlling external events, but about governing internal responses. When authority is exercised consistently, it establishes order where confusion once prevailed. Decisions become measured, emotions become balanced, and focus becomes sharper. Others may notice the difference in posture and presence. Calm assurance replaces insecurity. Even when challenges remain unresolved, the individual stands firm. Authority in prayer does not eliminate conflict instantly, but it strengthens endurance and sharpens perspective. It transforms prayer from routine repetition into purposeful engagement. In this way, spiritual authority empowers individuals to navigate battles with composure, speak with clarity, and maintain peace even when circumstances attempt to disrupt stability. Discipline and consistency are the sustaining forces behind lasting victory in spiritual warfare. Many people begin with enthusiasm when facing a challenge, but without structure, that passion fades. Spiritual strength is not built in a single intense moment. It is developed through repeated intentional action. Warfare prayer becomes effective when it is practiced daily, not only when crisis appears. Setting aside focused time for reflection, gratitude, and clear declarations creates rhythm. That rhythm builds stability. When prayer is consistent, it trains the mind to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. Emotions may fluctuate, circumstances may shift unexpectedly, yet disciplined engagement prevents internal collapse. Consistency reinforces identity and purpose. Each day of intentional focus strengthens confidence and reduces the power of fear. Over time, this steady approach reshapes habits. Negative thought cycles are interrupted more quickly, and distractions lose their influence. Discipline also creates accountability. It encourages individuals to evaluate their words, guard their attitudes, and remain aligned with truth even when motivation is low. Warfare prayer, practiced consistently, becomes less about emotional intensity and more about commitment. It teaches endurance. Just as physical endurance grows through repeated exercise, spiritual resilience grows through repeated alignment. There will be days when progress feels invisible, but unseen growth is still taking place. Patience is required. Discipline keeps the focus steady when results are delayed. It strengthens resolve and sharpens discernment. Gradually, peace becomes more stable and less dependent on circumstances. Instead of being overwhelmed by sudden challenges, the prepared mind remains balanced. Consistency transforms prayer from a reaction into a lifestyle. It shapes character and cultivates maturity. In this way, discipline is not restrictive, it is empowering. It ensures that faith remains active, perspective remains clear, and peace remains guarded. Through daily commitment, individuals discover that sustained focus produces enduring strength, allowing them to navigate spiritual battles with calm determination and unwavering stability. Discernment is an essential safeguard in spiritual warfare because not every challenge demands the same response. Without discernment, energy is wasted on distractions, minor irritations are magnified into major conflicts, and real issues remain unaddressed. Warfare prayer sharpens perception. It trains individuals to pause before reacting and to evaluate what is truly happening beneath the surface. Sometimes the battle is external, but often it is internal, rooted in assumptions, misinterpretations, or unresolved emotions. Discernment creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, wisdom develops. Rather than speaking impulsively or acting from frustration, A discerning person listens, reflects, and then chooses a strategic response. This approach reduces unnecessary conflict and protects peace. Discernment also exposes patterns. It reveals repeated cycles of doubt, fear, or distraction that attempt to weaken focus. Once recognized, these patterns lose much of their power. Awareness becomes a defense. Prayer strengthens this awareness by quieting mental noise and increasing sensitivity to subtle influences. Through consistent reflection, clarity replaces confusion. Decisions become measured rather than rushed. Relationships benefit because communication improves and misunderstandings decrease. In spiritual battles, discernment helps identify when to confront and when to remain silent, when to act immediately and when to wait patiently. This balance prevents exhaustion and emotional overload. It ensures that strength is reserved for matters of genuine importance. Discernment does not eliminate difficulty, but it prevents unnecessary escalation. It cultivates maturity and reinforces stability. Over time, individuals who practice discernment develop confidence in their judgment. They become less swayed by external pressure and more anchored in thoughtful evaluation. Peace is preserved because reactions are intentional rather than impulsive. In this way, discernment functions as both shield and guide. It protects the mind from deception and directs energy toward constructive action. Through disciplined prayer and reflection, discernment grows stronger, enabling individuals to navigate spiritual conflict with clarity, patience, and unwavering composure. Community support strengthens spiritual resilience in ways that individual effort alone cannot fully accomplish. While personal prayer builds inner stability, shared faith multiplies encouragement and perspective. In times of spiritual battle, isolation can distort perception. Challenges feel heavier when carried alone, and negative thoughts grow louder without constructive voices to counter them. Community creates balance. When trusted individuals gather with unified intention, clarity increases and emotional burdens lighten. Warfare prayer within a supportive circle reinforces accountability. It reminds each participant that they are not the only one facing pressure. This shared awareness reduces shame and builds courage. Honest conversations allow fears to be addressed rather than hidden. Encouragement spoken by others often restores strength when personal confidence begins to waver. Community also sharpens discernment. Diverse perspectives highlight blind spots and prevent narrow thinking. Through respectful dialogue and collective reflection, wiser decisions emerge. Spiritual battles frequently attempt to isolate individuals, convincing them that withdrawal is safer. Yet connection provides reinforcement. It strengthens resolve and renews focus. Collective prayer fosters unity of purpose. Each voice contributes to an atmosphere of hope and stability. Over time, these shared experiences deepen trust and cultivate resilience. Community support does not eliminate personal responsibility, but it enhances endurance. It transforms private struggles into shared journeys of growth. When individuals commit to uplifting one another, peace becomes more sustainable. The presence of supportive voices counteracts doubt and interrupts discouragement. In this way, community becomes both shield and strength. It protects against isolation and fuels perseverance. Warfare prayer practiced together generates momentum that carries individuals through challenging seasons. Confidence increases because burdens are distributed rather than concentrated. Even in ongoing battles, unity reinforces stability. Through consistent connection and mutual encouragement, peace is preserved, courage is restored, and spiritual endurance becomes a collective achievement rather than a solitary effort. Gratitude is a powerful stabilizing force in the midst of spiritual warfare because it redirects attention from what is lacking to what is sustained. In difficult seasons, the mind naturally magnifies problems, rehearses disappointments, and anticipates negative outcomes. Without intentional correction, this pattern can weaken resolve and distort perspective. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It does not ignore challenges, nor does it pretend that pain is absent. Instead, it deliberately acknowledges what remains steady and reliable. Warfare prayer infused with gratitude shifts the internal atmosphere. When individuals begin to recount previous victories, lessons learned, and support received, confidence quietly rises. The focus moves from scarcity to provision, from defeat to development. This shift influences emotional stability. Anxiety gradually loosens its grip when appreciation is consistently expressed. Gratitude also strengthens resilience because it reminds the heart that difficulty is not permanent. By recognizing small signs of progress, momentum is maintained even when major breakthroughs seem delayed. Over time, this disciplined practice reshapes perception. Situations once viewed only as obstacles are reconsidered as opportunities for growth. Complaints decrease and constructive action increases. Gratitude fosters humility as well, acknowledging that strength is supported by factors beyond personal effort alone. In spiritual battles, this humility protects against discouragement and pride alike. It keeps the focus balanced. Expressing thanks, whether privately or within community, reinforces unity and restores hope. It reminds individuals that peace is not dependent on perfect conditions, but on steady awareness of what is still working. Through consistent gratitude, emotional clarity expands, and spiritual endurance deepens. The battle may continue, yet the mindset transforms. Instead of being consumed by pressure, one remains anchored in appreciation. In this way, gratitude becomes more than a polite expression. It becomes a strategic response. It cultivates calm, sustains faith, and preserves peace even when circumstances remain unresolved. Victory in spiritual warfare is ultimately rooted in identity and purpose. When individuals lose clarity about who they are and what they stand for, battles intensify. Doubt begins to question value, and pressure attempts to redefine direction. Warfare prayer restores alignment by reaffirming core beliefs and long-held convictions. It reminds the heart that identity is not determined by temporary setbacks or external criticism. Instead, it is anchored in enduring principles and deliberate choices. This awareness strengthens resolve. When purpose is clear, distractions lose influence. Challenges are evaluated through a wider lens, and emotional reactions become measured. Identity acts as a stabilizing anchor during turbulent moments. Without it, fear can easily dictate decisions. With it, confidence remains steady even when outcomes are uncertain. Prayer focused on identity reinforces self-understanding and renews commitment to meaningful goals. It encourages reflection on values that guide behavior and priorities that shape action. Over time, this consistent realignment cultivates resilience. Spiritual battles often aim to create confusion and erode self-trust. By returning repeatedly to a clear sense of purpose, individuals protect their peace. They refuse to internalize defeat or accept narratives that diminish their worth. Victory, therefore, is not merely the absence of conflict, but the preservation of integrity throughout conflict. It is demonstrated in disciplined responses, thoughtful communication, and sustained hope. Identity-driven focus empowers long-term endurance. It allows individuals to navigate pressure without compromising character. Even when progress appears slow, clarity of purpose sustains motivation. In this way, victory becomes a process rather than a single event. It unfolds through daily alignment, steady reflection, and unwavering commitment to foundational truths. Through prayer that reinforces identity and sharpens purpose, individuals maintain peace in the midst of struggle and emerge stronger, more grounded, and more confident in their direction.